ninth circle. Treachery. Cocytus. Traitors to their benefactors. Lucifer. The banners of the King of Hell advance toward us. Now, therefore, look ahead of thee, my teacher said, and see if thou perceive him. As, when a heavy fog is breathed abroad, or when at night our hemisphere grows dark, a windmill looks when seen from far away. Even such a structure seemed I now to see. Then, for the wind, I shrank behind my leader, for other shelter there was none. I now, and 'tis with fear I put it into verse, was where the shades were wholly covered up, and visible as is a straw in glass. Some lying are, and some are standing up, one on his head, the other on his soles. One, like a bow, bends toward his feet his face. When we had gone so far ahead, that now it pleased my teacher to reveal to me the creature who once seemed so beautiful, he stepped from where he was in front of me, stopped me, and said, Lo, dis, and lo the place, where thou must arm thyself with fortitude. How frozen and weak I then became, ask thou not, reader, for I write it not, because all speech would be of small avail. I did not die, nor yet remained alive. Think for thyself now, hast thou any wit, what I became, of both of these deprived? The emperor of the realm of woe stood forth out of the ice from midway up his breast, and I compare more closely with a giant than merely with his arms the giants do. Consider now how great that whole must be, that with such parts as these may be compared. If, once as beautiful as ugly now, he still raised up his brows against his Maker, justly doth every woe proceed from him. Oh, what a marvel it appeared to me when I beheld 3 faces to his head! One was in front of us, and that was red. The other 2 were to the latter joined right o'er the middle of each shoulder blade, and met each other where he had his crest. That on the right, twixt white and yellow seemed, the left one such to look at, as are those who come from there, where valeward flows the Nile. Under each face 2 mighty wings stretched out, of size proportioned to so huge a bird. Sails of the sea I never saw so large. They had no feathers, but were like a bat's in fashion. These he flapped in such a way that 3 winds issued forth from him. Thereby Cocytus was completely frozen up. With 6 eyes he was weeping, and his tears and bloody slaver trickled over 3 chins. In each mouth, as a heckle would have done, a sinner he was crushing with his teeth, and thus was causing pain to 3 of them. To him who was in front of us, the biting was nothing to the clawing, for at times his back remained completely stripped of skin. That soul up there, which hath the greatest pain, Judas Iscariot is, my teacher said, who hath his head within, and plies his legs without. Of the other 2, whose heads are down, Brutus is he, who from the black snout hangs. See how he writhes, and utters not a word. Cassius the other is, who so big-limbed appears. But night is coming up again, and now 'tis time to leave, for we've seen all." Then, as it pleased him, I embraced his neck, and he availed himself of time and place, and when the wings were opened wide enough, he firmly grasped the shaggy flanks, and then from tuft to tuft he afterward descended between the matted hair and frozen crusts. When we were come to where the thigh turns round, just at the thick part of the hips, my leader, with tiring effort and with stress of breath, turned his head round to where his legs had been, and seized the hair, as one would who ascends. Hence I thought we were going back to hell. "Hold fast to me, for by such stairs as these," panting like one worn out, my teacher said, "must such great wickedness be left behind." Then, through an opening in the rock he issued, and, after seating me upon its edge, over toward me advanced his cautious step. Raising mine eyes, I thought that I should still see Lucifer the same as when I left him, but I beheld him with his legs held up, and thereupon, if I became perplexed, let those dull people think who do not see what kind of point that was which I had passed. "Stand up," my teacher said, "upon thy feet. The way is long and difficult the road, and now to Middle Tierce the sun returns." It was no palace hallway where we were, but just a natural passage underground, which had a wretched floor and lack of light. "Before I tear myself from this abyss, teacher," said I on rising, "talk to me a little and correct my wrong ideas. Where is the ice? And how is this one fixed thus upside down? And in so short a time, how hath the sun from evening crossed to morn?" Then he to me, "Thou thinkest thou art still beyond the center, where I seized the hair of that bad worm who perforates the world. While I was going down, thou wast beyond it. But when I turned, thou then didst pass the point to which all weights are drawn on every side. Thou now art come beneath the hemisphere, opposed to that the great dry land o'ercovers, and neath whose zenith was destroyed the man, who without sinfulness was born and died. Thy feet thou hast upon the little sphere, which forms the other surface of Judeca. 'Tis the morning here, whenever evening there, and he who made our ladder with his hair is still fixed fast, even as he was before. He fell on this side out of heaven, whereat the land, which hitherto spread out here, through fear of him made of the sea a veil, and came into our hemisphere, perhaps to flee from him. What is on this side seen left the place empty here, and upward rushed. There is a place down there, as far removed from Beelzebub as ever his tomb extends, not known by sight, but by a brooklet sound, which flows down through a hole there in the rock, gnawed in it by the water's spiral course, which slightly slopes. My leader, then, and I, in order to regain the world of light, entered upon that dark and hidden path, and, without caring for repose, went up, he going on ahead, and I behind, till through a rounded opening I beheld some of the lovely things the sky contains. Thence we came out, and saw again the stars.